Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, this is a first for me to be presenting in a video conference, so I'm looking forward to it. I can actually see my slides on the laptop there, so I guess I know what slide we're on. I think, Renee, you were going to move the slides forward. So if we could go to the next slide, fantastic. Oh, this is going to work great. I wanted to give you these contact information first, and most importantly, what I wanted to do was give you the Twitter handle there with the hashtag. If any of you are on Twitter or happen to want to ask a question, I will be searching for that as we go through, and especially when we get to the questions. That way I can remember. That way I can get the question as it's coming forward, and hopefully make the talk here very interactive. I'm going to be talking mostly about Marketing Calculator, and as I was introduced, the John Wanamaker quote, which is 50% of my advertising is wasted. I just don't know which half. We actually found that for one of our clients, and I won't tell you which one it is, but it was a large software client based out in Redmond, Washington. And they were, one of their groups was spending, I don't know, I'm not going to give you the number, let's just say it's $10 million on marketing. And it really was true that half of their marketing was absolutely wasted. And we helped them to find that, which is a big deal. And then second of all, once you can find that, now you can start to adjust your marketing mix and start to now invest in the good things, and hopefully maybe diagnose some of the bad things and improve your overall mix. And I think that's really then the tenor and the meaning behind the book that I have called Marketing Calculator. We also just submitted a new book, actually just this weekend. I finished hopefully the final edits on the ROI of social media. It's definitely a hot topic, and the publisher, John Wiley, is now diligently working to put it into a book and get it printed and then get it out to distribution. And it's kind of fascinating to watch that process. And it also, though, shows how important marketing ROI and being able to plan and being able to be accountable for what your marketing is doing is really important. And now, especially as companies are realizing that there's so much value in social media. And so now, well, what is the ROI of social media? And I'm going to touch on that towards the end, but I want to go through a couple of things. I'm going to try and keep this pretty high level, but I'm definitely ready to answer questions at any level. And then I have one concept that I want to get across as well as we're talking, and that has to do with the data. And we'll talk about some of the issues surrounding data, because marketing, the issues in marketing are all about data, and without that it's pretty difficult. So if we could play this short video. This video is from the 2009 Super Bowl, and while he's getting that ready, it's kind of an interesting commercial, and there's three real components here that I want to talk about once we've seen it, and hopefully the technology will work and go for it.
Can we play now?
I got a feeling Benny talked.
You want me to take care of it?
I think it's time we let everyone know what happens to people. Let everybody know what happens to...
Isn't it time for a serious breakfast? This Tuesday from 6 a.m. to 2, Denny's is giving a free Grand Slam to everyone in America. Serious.
Okay, great. That commercial played during the Super Bowl in 2009. Denny's is a restaurant chain, and in the U.S. they have about 1,700 restaurants. And those restaurants are very family style, and breakfast is the biggest meal for them, as I understand it. And there's three critical things in that advertisement that I think are important when we look at how our advertising and how our media is working. Certainly one of those things is the creative quality and the creative message that's coming out of that. And the creative quality, that is certainly subjective, but it certainly plays to whether the message gets across. And in reality, I think the message does get across. Although, in my mind, if we think about the brand attribute that they're trying to push here, they're not really pushing the idea of a family restaurant necessarily, but they're certainly pushing the concept that the breakfast that they offer is serious. We offer a serious breakfast. This particular commercial ran on television during the Super Bowl. It had 3 spots, and I think they spent about $12 million overall for those 3 spots. Certainly, there was some money on creative, and and each of those spots probably hit a nominal number in terms of the gross rating of about 90 million people in the U.S. So that's certainly a very good audience, and for something like this, which is really a one-time offer, which is where the fun part of this commercial starts. And that is that on the following Tuesday, they are going to give a free breakfast to everybody and anybody that shows up to a Denny's restaurant. Well, that sounds like, not a bad idea. Maybe it'll work. Certainly, the management of Denny's was very interested in knowing if they spent $12 million plus the cost of all these free meals for maybe another million people that might have shown up for this free giveaway. And it turns out we were working for the competition to Denny's. And one of the things that's kind of fascinating is we had just finished a marketing ROI project for the competitor, and the Super Bowl played and this ad played, and I said, oh man, I have to call them up and see what they think is going to happen. And I got hold of them on the Monday after the Super Bowl, and we were talking and stuff like that, and they didn't know. So the question to you, and maybe a show of hands or so, how many of you think that the competitor, our client, their sales would go up or go down on the Tuesday morning for this particular breakfast when this is offered? How many think it's going to go up? Okay, a lot. How many of you think sales for my client, the competition, are going to go down? Yeah, you see, you guys are too smart. You saw the punchline. Well, surprisingly, what happened, and certainly it's at the moment anecdotal evidence, and we're helping them to try and understand it a little bit further because they repeated this same type of an offer for the 2010 Super Bowl. But the sales for our client went up, and what we believe happened was that the lines to get into the Denny's restaurant on that Tuesday morning from 6 o'clock to I think it was 2 in the afternoon had hundreds of people. And if I had a schedule to meet and I had to go to hear Guy Powell talk at a conference in that morning, I can't wait. So I show up at the restaurant and there's a big line there. I can't wait that long. I'm already on my way to the office, and so I have to eat somewhere else. And so then they went to the competition. And their sales actually went up not only on that Tuesday, but for the following 3 Tuesdays, they saw a relatively large lift in sales as a result of this advertisement. And most likely what happened was that the category for for family dining, for breakfasts, probably expanded based on this one ad. And so one of the things, had they been running an advertisement themselves, and maybe if they had a promotion that was going to be taking place on those Tuesday, if they hadn't understood what was going on, they would never have been able to determine whether their marketing was better or whether maybe the competitive advertising is what was growing their response. So if we could go to the next slide. The next slide talks about 2 studies, and it's always nice to look at some of these studies. I tried to get some recent ones. And what is it that the company wants from marketing? And in reality, there's really 2 big things when we think about accountability and we think about ROI. What the company wants is predictability, and they want kind of stability. And so, the stability kind of comes in if we predicted, or if we were able to meet the numbers, but in one month we were 50% over, and the next month we were 50% under, and the next month we were 30% over. That wouldn't be a good thing. So marketing has to deliver not just predictable sales, but relatively stable sales. We need to be able to plan for what's going to happen, and we need to be able to accurately plan. And I'm going to talk about an example here where a company launching a fast-moving consumer good very inaccurately predicted how successful one of their launches was going to be, and it cost them a lot of money. So as it relates, though, to these two surveys, the good news is that marketing is starting to see that analytics are important. So improved analytics was named as a vital component of future expansion, 65%. Streamlined marketing operations, 57%. With the result that for this relatively weak economy, 47% of the businesses investing in analytics had growing sales versus 32% had a contraction. So therefore, there's kind of a 15% difference for those people that are actually spending money on marketing analytics. And that's, one set of proof. The other side, though, is kind of, well, what are the demands on marketing from the rest of the company? And senior executives demand some justification, accountability for the money we're spending. And surprisingly, there's an enormous difference based on the budget size. 56% want greater justification if the budget is greater than $1 million versus significantly less for smaller budgets. And I think that's a big deal. I think that's a real issue. Why is it, if you're spending less, that you're not expecting your marketing to deliver? And I think that can be a major hindrance for smaller companies in terms of marketers being able to justify their existence. If you're not expecting anything from those marketers, then you're not going to invest in it. If times get tough, you're going to cut those budgets. They're going to be the first to be cut. Whereas if you are expecting something for those larger companies, it's going to be a lot harder to cut things, because what does marketing drive? Marketing drives the top line. So now for this fast-moving consumer packaged goods company, the company did a launch in the category. It's hand and body lotion. So it's lotion and cream for your hands. Probably all the women know all the different brands there. Men are not really that much of a user for it. But what happened was one of the brands, and I'll call it Brand J, launched a new innovation in that category. And the new innovation was incredibly successful. And it was so successful that you could just see their sales growing almost in a straight line. It ended up taking over probably, I think it was 11% of the category. So they went from 0 to 11% of the category within about 12 months. And that was about $110 million in sales, so about $1 billion category. Now the problem was, though, that in the third month, they had misestimated how big the sales and the demand was going to be. And sales went up like this for the first 2 months, and then they went like that, and then they went like that. And what happened in that big downturn there was that they had not really understood how innovative this product was and how successful they were going to be at launching this, and they ran out of stock. It took them 30 days to 60 days to recover from that, and unfortunately it has kind of a seasonal requirement for this particular product. And they lost about $17 million in profit because they were not able to see how successful they were going to be at launching this product and delivering this innovative capability to the marketplace. And so for us as marketers, when we look at justification, we need to think about how predictable our marketing is. We need to be able to learn from the past to predict the future and project what's going to be able to be the future. And then we need to think about how can we do that in a predictable way with stability moving forward, because operations is behind it, and they have to build what we think they can sell. So if we can go to the next slide.